Hello everyone and welcome back. My name is Shannon, I'm the Wisdom Wench, and I've finally finished my foundation course in herbal medicine. I know a lot of you have a load of interest in it, so this video is going to be me recapping my experience with it. I'm going to go over the practicalities of the course because I know a lot of you have asked about that. I'll go over my experience and how I felt about it, how I found it, and then I'm going to answer some of your questions. So go grab a cup of tea, get comfy, get cozy, and in this video it's going to be a little more chill and we're just going to talk about the foundation course. I hope you can all see me because it's very dark and cozy and very autumny today. We've got some little candles on, just some soft lighting, keeping it nice, warm, cozy vibes. So to start, I'm going to go over the practicalities of the course because when I filled it out for questions from people, I did it on multiple different platforms. A lot of the questions can be answered in terms of practicalities, so we're going to start there. So I did my foundation course online from a school that's based here in the UK called Heartwood. This course is available to everyone all over the world though. It consists of 12 modules over the course of 12 months. One module is released each month, so you can't do it quicker than the year. And honestly, from my experience, you really won't want to. You're going to want to take time with this. In those modules, there are online assessments, but they're not graded. Your only thing graded is your final project, and that only really matters if you want to go onto the professional course later. The rest of the little quizzes really are making sure that you understand the information presented to you, which is quite nice. I like that there's not an emphasis on every quiz has to be 100% right. It gives you multiple opportunities as well. So you can take the quiz, see where you went wrong, go and solidify your learning and then take it again. I really enjoyed the quizzes and they could become quite fun in some of them. And normally I don't like quizzes, but they were fun. The course costs, I think it was £400, but they have options on how to pay. So you could pay the $400 up front. I chose to do the payment plan because when I signed up for this in September 22 last year, I didn't have £400 lying about that I could do that with. So I paid it in 10 instalments of £40. So you pay it over 10 months and then the last 2 months you're kind of solidifying and finishing the course, but you've already paid for it at that point. I also found that really helped me stay motivated with it because I knew I was paying for it monthly. I knew that I had this monthly commitment that I had to fulfill. So I found that actually really helped me. In terms of delivery, the course is 12 modules over 12 months. There are lots of bits of reading, which is quite cool. You don't need to get extra books and things. They give you a recommended reading list at the end of each module if you would like to develop your own understanding. But in terms of the quiz and the final project and stuff like that, a lot of the stuff you'll need, they give you the resources for. Links to journal articles and papers and other websites and things that you might be interested in that could really help you understand a topic or read more on it, which was really nice. You can also download each of the books that are in the course so that if you don't always have internet access, you can kind of read it when you're at home, or you can print it out and mark it if that's something that works for you. They've really made a lot of it quite accessible, which I was very happy with. You do also have a monthly seminar, but what you do is once you're about 3/4 of the way of each module, there'll be a forum for you to put in all of your questions about that module specifically. And then in the seminar, they answer all your questions. So say that you're partway through and there's something you really don't get, you will have an hour-long live with the tutors. But if you do need other help, there is the help available. There's a big forum that all of the students are on. So you can put your question in there and then teachers can get back to you or other students can get back to you. You can also put administrative things on there, but you can get in contact with the teachers. A lot of the content is kind of reading and working through activities online. There is very much an interactive aspect of it and you meet a lot of people, which was quite nice. There are no set social structures, I think, available on the course. You kind of had to make them yourself. So in the forum, the big student forum, me and a few others made a WhatsApp group that we would run almost monthly little video chats between ourselves on there as well, so we could help each other out and motivate each other and go over study tips and things, but that really needs to be done by the people on the course. It's not done by the course itself. So if you'd like the social aspect of it, you do need to be a bit proactive with it. In terms of deadlines, the deadlines are for each thing about 6 weeks after the dropping of that module as a whole. So say that the module's dropped on the 1st, you have until 6 weeks from that date to complete any assessments. And the assessments are quite fun. One of them is you had to write a folklore assessment. So you pick a plant and you're really looking into the folklore of it. So it does really vary, which is something that I really liked, the variety of topics and things and the creative freedom within it as well, which I really liked. The main assessment is a big monograph at the end of the year. If you're looking to go on to the professional course, you're given a bit of a tighter time frame to finish that. But if you're doing this for your own enjoyment and you're not looking to go on the professional course straight away, you've got a very wide opening to finish it and get it in. And there is a lot of help available from the tutors. So while there are assessments and deadlines, they're more impactful for those that want to go and study further. But for those that don't, they are quite useful for gauging your understanding, because it's a lot of giving feedback rather than having marks, which is personally where I prefer to learn. Completely my opinion, but I don't like any form of graded assessment. I don't think it's a good way to indicate knowledge or learning. It's never been my thing. So let's talk about the course content itself. In the very early modules, you go over philosophy, ethics, history, scope, kind of a real overview of how we've got to where we are today in the tradition of Western herbal medicine, key figures, which is quite cool, and a few other things. And that's all like in your first 2 months of starting this course, which is great. You'll then move on to a botany unit, which is a very nice introduction to the amount of science you're about to go into. It's very fun. I really enjoyed the botany unit. I'm very inspired. I think I'm actually going to go take a course in botany at some point and learn a bit more. I loved that module. I wish that module had been bigger. I wish there was more in it, because that one was so much fun. And then you're interspersed with a module on human science, anatomy, physiology, biology, chemistry, but they've made it very accessible because I've never been good at like heavy science language. I struggle with it a lot, but they explain everything and they make it very easily understandable. There's also videos with PowerPoints that you can watch and hear the teachers narrating, so you have multiple ways to learn. So whatever way is best for you, they've put an option in there for that. Then you will have a materia medica unit. A materia medica is kind of like, it's you creating your own, and it's a compendium of knowledge on a herb. You will go over you'll go over in depth a total of 15 herbs over the run of the course, but it's really in depth. You're going to go into like a bit of mythology, a little bit of folklore, a little bit of you're going into herbal interactions, what they're used for, what are the chemicals in the plant that make it do the thing, how is it used, what is it used with. But you touch on hundreds of plants. Honestly, like, there are so many plants that are just mentioned in passing as an alternative. It's amazing. You will learn so much, and it's really cool because it piques your interest and will drive you off elsewhere, which I really loved. I really enjoyed. Your final few modules are they go in depth into conditions, some basic ones that you might come up with every day, things like IBS or pain, migraines, insomnia, and it goes into what are those conditions, how do they get to where they are, where is our understanding so far, and plants and remedies that can be used for them, which is really nice because from the course so far, you've got this really nice breadth and depth of knowledge from science and anatomy and herbal medicine, plant biology, and that really solidifies your learning in practice, which I loved. And the final unit is a lovely little roundup of the course about a little bit of philosophies, and it's a very positive note to kind of go off with, regardless of if you're going to move on to the professional or if you've chosen not to. It's a really lovely little end note, and you have videos of talking with other herbalists and stuff, which is lovely. I really enjoyed it. I think that's all the practicalities of the course that you're going to need. So let's move on to my experience with it. So I joined the course September 2022. So I did September 2022 to September 2023. That was my cohort. They have intakes all through the year. Before deciding to do it was very much like, I want to do something. I just left my master's in law and I didn't really have direction, but I'd actually had the Heartwood Foundation course on my, I don't think you can see it in this shot, but right here. If you can hear that. That is my like big vision board, and I actually had the logo for the Heartwood Professional and the Heartwood Foundation course on it. I was away on holiday and I kind of just decided to. I kind of wanted to take a bit of a leap. So I set up the monthly payments and went for it. And I'm really, really glad I did. Over the course of the year, the first, I'd say 4.5 modules, I was really on top of it. Workload wise, I think I was only really studying 8 to 10 hours a week, but that was I was putting quite a lot into it. This is my folder from the course of all my notes. I take quite in-depth notes. I make notes pretty and colourful. I draw diagrams. See? So I'm quite in-depth in my note taking. I want to make sure that I fully understand something. So I spent, I'd say, 8 to 10 hours a week on the course. And that's reading the books, taking notes, watching videos, further reading and stuff as well. And I was balancing it with a job, the YouTube channel now, and a few other things. But also I was planning a wedding the whole time. And that took up a lot of time. So units, I'd say 5, 6, and 7, I did fall behind a little bit. And it took me time to catch up. I did decide to take a week at one point, and I was like, I'm getting myself back on track, and I'm really happy I did. So it meant that the last few units actually went quite smoothly and quite quickly. I personally really loved how in depth we went with all these different plants, and you're encouraged to pick your final project plant that you want to do your monograph on very early on. I think in module 2 or 3. Can't quite remember, but you pick very early on. I picked dandelion, and you're encouraged to create a relationship with that plant throughout the year. So it will give you activities in lots of different modules, like do this with your chosen plant, look at this with your chosen plant, and I really loved it. I really loved that, and I feel like not only do I have a really good relationship with the plant I've chosen, but I understand how to build working relationships and spiritual relationships with these plants, which I really loved. The sciencey bits got a little bit heavy for me at points in terms of workload. I was like, I just don't understand. But I took some time with it and it was fine. It was good. I'm really happy that I took that little bit of extra time. If you fall behind at some point, you can catch up. It's not ridiculously difficult. It depends, I think, how much you fell behind. For me, it was like 3 modules I fell behind. But I did manage to catch up, and all was good at the end of that. I made a lot of really good friends on the course as well. You're going to come across opinions that you vibe with and opinions that you don't, and that's really good. That's really engaging. You'll come across people from all walks of life, and you have this one wonderful thing in common, which is herbal medicine. But you can have these really open and frank discussions about, this worked for me, this didn't work for me, why? How do you add this into your practice? How do you add that into your practice? Which is really nice. You get a really good knowledge base. A lot of different things, which I loved. I loved a lot. That's my experience with the course. Let's go on to some answering of your questions. So a lot of the questions I got were on the practicalities of the course, and I hope I covered them all in the first section. That it's an online course, the cost, the time commitment. I got a few really, really good ones. One of the ones, part of one of the questions was, what is the major actually called? Is it called herbalism or something else? It might come under a few names depending on what you're looking for. You'll find it either under herbalism, Western herbal medicine, phytotherapy, which means plant therapy. Those three things you might find courses under. This is actually Western herbal medicine. The actual link for it is going to be in the description below. What kind of jobs can you get from herbalism? You can actually do a lot more with herbalism than just being a herbalist than you might think. You might decide that you want to do a product line, for example. You could want your own set of skincare products. You could want to make teas. You could want to make oils and body lotions and tinctures. So you could choose product line. You could choose to be a clinical medicinal herbalist, which is the route I'm going down. I'd like to work in a clinic and have the more clinical side to it. You can use these as accompaniments to other types of therapy. I have a number of people on my course that are psychologists and counsellors that have been doing herbalism this course to kind of add to their therapy. We have people that are animal handlers as well that are doing this to add to their therapy and want to be able to take it on to like specialised in animal herbalism later. Use it in a lot of different ways because it isn't just herbalism, it's how your body works, how it responds to things, and a lot of traditions and history, which has been really, really interesting. My absolute favourite question I got on this was from Amelia Wild. What do you think is important to know before studying herbalism, and how did you know it was right for you and that you wanted to spend time and money on it? That's a brilliant question. I loved that. It really made me think. But before studying herbalism, or I'm going to change this to before studying herbalism on a structured course, study it in your everyday life, get some books, try out a few things, find what you really like about it, because personally, when I got really lost on those few months, when I fell behind on the course, what brought me back was the things that interested me in it in the first place. The physically making medicines and the things I had learnt before I was studying. This is a year of studying. You're going to get points where your brain wants to switch off and life gets busy and you're like, oh, that can go onto the wayside. You need to have that thing for you that sparks your interest and your creativity. Whatever it is for you. For me, it's holding on to this dream I have of being able to teach and to treat. I have grand plans, but holding on to what I loved about studying it in the first place and the relationships I'm building is key to keeping yourself on track when you study. Knowing that I have autonomy and power in my decisions, in how I want treatment, and advocating for myself and advocating for others, and being able to actually do things for myself is something that really was a spark. And it's like, no, I want to be able to do this. I want to be able to be like, I have a headache, I can go for this. I've got period cramps, I can do this. And have someone else come for me and just be like, I'm really lethargic, what can I do? And I'm like, try this. I want that. For me, knowing it was right to study it that was like a core feeling. Did any of that make sense? Was I rambling? I think that's how I knew it was right for me. I think the overarching, what is important to know is you are going to get as much out as you put in. If you want a really good, well-rounded understanding of herbal medicine, then you need to put in the work to do that. Another question I got was what was one of my favourite things I learned? And that also really made me think. One of the absolute favourite things that I learned was actually towards the end modules, physical things that I could do and try and make for different conditions. That really brought a lot of joy and a lot of interest, and sparked a lot of creativity in me. And I was like, oh, I have headaches, what can I do with that? Like, I really loved the insomnia part of one of the later modules, because when I was a teenager especially, I suffered horribly with insomnia for years. I was perpetually exhausted, and then I would crash and feel okay, and then the cycle would continue. I had a lot of therapy to help me through that, and I was on medication for a really long time. But going through that and being like, oh look, these are some really easy things that really could have helped me, I just didn't know. And when you could apply that to something that you're struggling with, it's this weird, like, aha, light bulby kind of moment. And knowing that I can help with lots of different conditions like that, it was great. I loved that. Okay, so to conclude, I'm going to wrap it up. All the thoughts and feelings. The Heartwood Foundation course was amazing. I loved it so much that I'm going on to the professional course that actually started, if you're watching this the day it goes up, the Monday just gone. I know things are about to get really busy for me because the study and commitment of this is far higher. Saying that, if you would like to dip your toe into studying a little bit more professionally, the Heartwood Foundation course is amazing, and I will continue to sing its praises. I absolutely loved it. If you're more of a home herbalist and you really want to work on your community, this is also great because it's not just setting you up to be a clinical herbalist, it's giving you a well-rounded education in science, anatomy, physiology, botany, and a few really, really key plants in Western herbal medicine. And it really does work to spark your interest to send you elsewhere. If you would like to just do the foundation course, you are going to get a really well-rounded education. It's so incredibly in-depth honestly, for what you pay for. It was worth every hour I spent on it. It was worth every penny. There are a few extra costs, and that is buying the herbs, but they've also tried to make that as accessible as possible. I think I spent quite a lot on this course, but that is mostly because I bought a load of extra stuff. Like, I really loved building up my booked collections, but you don't need to do that because they give you the resources. So I spent a lot on herbs, but I didn't need to do that. That was my choice because I wanted a lot more of it. If you are considering you want a serious herbal course, but you're not necessarily looking for something clinical, the Heartwood Foundation is amazing. You will learn a lot. If you're experienced at herbalism, you will probably learn something in this course. I'd done a little bit before it. I've done teas, I've done tinctures, I've done a couple oils, but there's also a lot of things that I had never done, and medicines I'd never heard of. I'd never heard of an oxymel before this course, and if you watched my last video, my Firesider Part 2, I made 2 of them. I think it'd be great for everyone, really. Regardless of where you want to go with herbal medicine, this course is great. So thank you so much for listening to my rambles today. If you have any more questions about the course itself, about studying herbal medicine that I missed, please comment it under this video. If there's anything about the practicalities, I'll help wherever I can on my experience. So please comment any questions that you have, or your thoughts, your feelings. If you choose to start the course, let me know. Let me know what cohort you're in as well when you start. If you've studied at other herbal schools and things, put your experience in the comments below. I'd love to have some discussions with you. It's my favourite part of all of this. Thank you so much for being here. Quick announcement is that there won't be a video next week. If you're watching this when it goes up, I'm actually getting married on Saturday. I got legally married this morning, but I'm having my ceremony on Saturday, so there won't be a video next week because I will be on holiday, a much needed holiday. But I'll be back after that. Thank you all so much for being here as always. It's always lovely to hear from you, and hopefully I will see you soon. Goodbye everyone. Have an absolutely lovely rest of your week. Bye. We've got resources. This looks tilted. Is it tilted? That needs to go up on one side. Okay. Let's go. My foot has gone numb. I need some tea. I always get paranoid if that hasn't recorded. Oh, dead leg. Dead leg.